Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a very long time, but welcome back to the Purple Donut Podcast. In fact, it has been such a long time that we have other people here now besides just myself and Brian.
Yeah.
Everyone, Mr. Matthew Friend, producer, video editor, and camera specialist extraordinaire, which basically just means you film and edit.
Yeah, I just do whatever.
Yeah. And you've been with, oh gosh. So, I mean, everyone who's been on the team has come on board within the last year.
Yeah. Well, I met you back in July of 2025.
That's right. Yeah.
We met each other at a Lockhouse Studios Creative Connect.
Yeah. Which is a very cool thing of like, it's a networking event specifically for people in the creative field.
Yeah, for here in the Frederick kind of area. And we met, and I'd recognized you. We kind of started a conversation initially, and then I realized as you were talking, I recognized your voice because at the time I was making ends meet working at Warehouse Cinemas as just like floor staff. So I saw like the ads that they played in front of the movies hundreds of times, and one of them was you and Brian doing your Purple Donut Studios ad. It's like, we're Frederick's creative powerhouse. And I love saying that because you get that embarrassed look on your face every time.
Because that ad was never meant to be seen that many times by any one person.
I was gonna say, but the amount of people that it's brought into your life. I mean, it's
very true.
It's done its work. It's done.
I very much appreciate it.
It has served its function.
It has very much served its function.
Now it's done. But yeah, I'd recognize that, and then we started talking for like 2 hours.
A long time.
We stopped talking to everybody else kind of there. We were just talking shop for a while, and then at the end, I was just sort of like, so do you like need someone to like edit or something like that? Because I'm really looking for work.
Yeah.
Because I'd been in a bit of a drought in terms of freelance work, and you're just like, yeah, okay, can you do camera too? I was like, theoretically, yes, I can. Because I'd done camera for like my personal projects, but I'd never done I'd never been paid to operate a camera.
Sure.
And then he's like, oh, cool. What's your rate? And I said my rate, and you're like, okay. It's the easiest job interview I'd ever have.
Those are the best ones.
I love your vibes-based hiring and managerial
It's worked
process.
out well so far. Like skills can be taught.
Yeah.
Vibes cannot be.
Well, I think particularly for something as specific in terms of knowledge as film and video, I can talk to somebody and learn very quickly if they know what they're talking about.
You can tell right away whether it's like you're pumping yourself up beyond reality.
Yeah, and it was like personality sort of.
That's the thing.
Is a really big factor when it comes to like whether you work well together. Because
100%.
And we immediately clicked and kind of aligned in that respect. And really the only thing left was like work together on something and kind of see what happens. At that point, you were just like, oh, if something comes up, well, I'll see if we can pull you in. And between then and when we actually first worked together, I'd kept in touch. I'd kind of reach out every once in a while because you kind of pursue whatever kind of like promising leads you can kind of find.
Keep the relationship alive.
Yeah, keep the relationship alive. And then I visited the studio, and then it's like late September, early October. You emailed me. It was like, I need a second camera to do this job. We were just shooting stuff. Can you be my B cam? I'm like, okay, sure. There was a third person on our team, Melissa, who we both mutually already knew.
That was so funny.
Because her husband Dimitri was a coworker of mine when I was working for a company called Mytonomy down in Bethesda. So it was good to know that there was already sort of like that. I mean, everybody in DMV film and video is like within 2 degrees of separation of knowing each other.
Seriously.
So it's wasn't super surprising, but it was a good omen, I think. And that shoot went really well, I thought.
It was a big shoot.
It was a big shoot.
That was 2 very full days back
2
to back.
very, very full days in very dry air. I remember our throats were just like parched by the end of it. But we did good stuff, and we were bouncing off each other thing. And the big thing that I really took away from that, and this will be relevant with what we're going to be talking about today, is a very strong openness to collaboration from you, where it's not a I'm just going to let everybody do whatever they want kind of thing.
Sure.
But you're always open to like if someone suggests a really strong idea, there's no hesitation. Like, oh, cool, let's let's go ahead and do that. The best idea kind of wins out. And then there was that we had a really nice back and forth. And I felt like I had a lot of creative latitude in making decisions that one who's operating B camera wouldn't necessarily.
Oh yeah, no, it became. I would not call what you ended up doing on that day being B cam.
That was what I was kind of hired to be. But it became much more of a back and forth. Like I'd frame something, I'd check with you, and you check with me, and I'd suggest, oh, we should do this. And it was a really, despite how difficult it was a really good creative experience that I haven't had in a long time, because most of my freelance work was very dry, basically factory assembly kind of editing. It paid the bills, but it was like I sort of was like, do that, I'll make my money, and then I'll do the stuff I care about kind of on the side. But here it was like, okay, I can actually kind of stretch myself in the space and get paid for it at the same time.
How about that?
Yeah, and then immediately, and like within it was like a day or two, a few days after the shoot,
quickly,
you and Brian reached out to me, like, let's get lunch, and we got lunch together, and you basically kind of offered me not really a retainer thing, but like a steady, like,
I hate the term permalance, but
it's
that's
kind of a permalancer position where it was sort of like, work when you can. We'll kind of basically sort of soft guarantee like 20 to 30 hours of work, which introduced a stability in my life financially that I have not had in a while. And like I mentioned, I was paying my bills by part-timing at the movie theater. So
to your point of like having that creative kind of like bouncing ideas off each other. I mean, you were one of the first like proper hires we had that was, and I say hire even though you're a contractor. But
Barry was kind of around.
Barry was around the same time, yeah.
The first straight shot shoot, it was Barry and Alex I was introduced to.
Yeah, Barry,
and they're both now regular sort of.
Yeah, you're all like you're all like part of the core team. Barry's our lighting director, and Alex, who started as an intern, she'll be on the show at some point, I'm sure. She's behind the cameras right now.
Hi, Alex.
Thank you, Alex. I don't want to be bringing people onto the team that are just like robots.
Right.
Where it's like,
we're not just extensions of you.
Yeah, like I give you instruction, you perform instruction exactly, no autonomy, no like creative decision making. It helps that seeing like when we did that first shoot together, I saw you making suggestions and coming up with ideas, and I was like, oh, cool, they're good ideas.
Sure.
Like
there's got to be that creative. The important thing is like there's that creative kind of alignment there, which is something you kind of just got to intuit there.
Yeah.
There's not really a formula for that, and I just felt like I felt that we really kind of clicked creatively, and I can't even really over the past like 6-7 months that I've been kind of working for you, I can't even really think of any like big major creative clashes we've had over anything. There's some like minor things.
It's mostly when we're like really obsessing over one like particular cut
or like like we're talking like we cut a frame, here's this cut here, sound effect, mix. It's a lot of very granular stuff, very rarely kind of big idea stuff.
Yeah. It's been an awesome experience, especially like, as we've built out the team on the edit side. I've always thought of myself as an editor first. So it's like giving up some of that editing stuff. It's not even that I'm giving up control. It's more that I just enjoy it a lot.
Right.
That was a bit of an adaptation for me of like, oh, but I want to cut all this stuff. It's like I physically don't have the time, which is good. Because
I usually get all the fun stuff to edit just for the sake of, it's just time kind of stuff.
You get a lot of, we do a lot of really varied stuff here, to put it mildly.
We do, which is another thing I really like, is that we really do and like I said earlier, my previous I worked about 6 years doing basically just like factory assembled patient education videos. Yeah. And that was just the same video, literally hundreds of times.
I understand.
And you stop learning from that after a while.
You can't learn from it because there's no room for experimentation.
Sure.
And you're not encouraged to experiment typically in environments like that.
Well, no, it's one of those things where it's like they say they want you to really try something and put your spin on it, and then you do, and then they're like, no, what are you doing?
Put it back
to how it was, but just make it better.
Yeah. Yeah,
I feel like I've really been able to stretch myself, and both in terms creatively and in terms of my skill set as an editor. It's great portfolio material.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. That's what it's all about, baby.
Yeah, and I think particularly these straight shot pieces that we've done have been a stretch, because our first collaboration on a straight shot thing was sort of that. It was very early on.
Yeah.
And that was it was me, you, Alex, and Barry. And I'd met you. I'd never met Barry or Alex before, so I was immediately jumping into this very intense 5-6 hour shoot.
I think we went over that a little bit.
Not even. I didn't know what Barry thought of me by the end of that, but I was so tired and burnt out. That was a really tough one. That turned out.
It turned out great.
Really good.
In reality, we should have scheduled more time for that shoot.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, this is part of the tricky thing of doing commercials for people where we need to be shooting in their space is we can't just be coming back, for every day for a week for a couple hours. It's like,
It would be nice though.
It would be cool. And
particularly when it's not raining outside.
Well,
we'll get to that.
Spoiler
in a
alert.
minute.
You get this. You get the segue point for.
It's not a spoiler. It's a
to,
teaser.
It's a teaser. You're right. So Straight Shot. For those who don't know, if you're in the Frederick area, you know Straight Shot. They're a fantastic. They're not really a gym. They're really focused on like small group and one-on-one training, but in a gym environment. They have a gorgeous space. We have done multiple pieces with them over the years. We started out doing a very like straightforward interview and B-roll style commercial with them, and then we've just kind of, as we have leveled up what we do, Straight Shot is usually one of the first ones that we go to with like, hey, we can do this now.
I mean, they're very much the barometer at this point of just like
Well,
where are we right now in terms of our scale and our capability technically.
And they're such a great client because they know what they want, but they also understand that like they're bringing in a team at this point, and it's like, this is what we do. And they really let us have, I think, a lot of fun with it, especially on this one.
Yeah, well, it helps that we do bring them, like it's a team affair where it's not like they're just like, here's what we want, you go do that. It's like really involving the rest of the staff, and then Johnny himself as a sort of a prominent figure in both of these.
Yeah. Full name, Johnny Slick.
Johnny Slick.
I have no notes. Perfect.
Yeah.
But no, Johnny is co-owner of Straight Shot Training in Frederick. Johnny's just an overall cool guy.
Just a ray of sunshine.
A ray of very muscled sunshine.
and also a cool breeze from the sea. It's a weird combination there. He's a cool customer.
Still a very muscled breeze.
Oh geez. I even drew in the storyboards like his arms, and he's like, and he looked at this. I showed him then in the storyboards, and he's just like, "Oh, my muscles aren't that big." And he's like,
"Yes, they are. They really
if anything,
are."
I've undersold them in the storyboards a little bit, but it feels fun in sort of like a group way. And I remember hearing after the end of the most recent shoot we did with them from people there, it's just like, they all had a whole lot of fun, just kind of like being on set, having their own little part in being involved.
This is the fourth piece we've done for Straight Shot, second one that you've been a part of. And like I said, there was a progression. The first one was like interview and B-roll style. The second one was a testimonial piece. The third one, the first one you worked on, was more of a scripted. We had all of the trainers there, each having a line they delivered, and we were putting that together.
But a much stronger cinematic focus in terms of the shots. There was a lot of camera movement, very deliberate sort of like camera movement and stylization for it that you don't usually see with that kind of stuff.
We used the jib, so we got a crane shot.
A lot of slider shots,
which were great. So we had a lot of that cinema quality movement. But we were, like you said, like it wasn't as much planned. We had a script, but we didn't plot out each individual shot before we got there. We just kind of
you and I were basically back and forth improvising shots on the fly, trying, and I'm in my head, because I edit this in my head as we're kind of going along. It's like, okay, get the movement kind of here, that'll kind of flow into this here. And that was probably, I was probably more tired after that shoot than I was in this most recent one, just because it took just like a massive amount of just like pushing myself brain power to figure out how we're going to do this. Working with people I'd never worked with before.
Sure. And we were having to like ideate and execute within a few minutes of each other. For context, Johnny came to us for this latest piece
months ago, like with the general idea.
A little bit ago, yeah. Because one of the things about this piece, again, if you're in the Frederick area, you probably know this, but Warehouse Cinemas, which is a local theater chain, before the trailers run at every movie, they have local ads that run. And so we do quite a bit of work that ends up showing there. We've done our own ad, we've done the Straight Shot ad, we've done other PSAs that have gone there. Johnny at Straight Shot has been running these things for in warehouse for years now, and like gets great return from them. So he came to us and said, "Okay, this summer, I want to run This summer, I want to run a new ad, and I want it to look like a movie trailer. I want it to look like an action movie trailer, but it's actually an ad."
My brain, as soon as you mentioned that to me, Cameron, this is probably earlier this year.
Yeah.
My brain just like instantly lit up with like ideas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you had your own specific ideas too.
The first idea that I had was just in the movie Predator. There's a shot where they do the handshake, and it's like it's a handshake that turns into an arm wrestle.
Yeah.
And it's just a really tight close up. And the first idea,
that was the shot that the whole thing was
everything kind of spawned around,
built out from.
Johnny had the idea of like action hero, but doing kind of everyday things, because that's a big thing that they want to focus on. Is like, this is, you're building strength, not to be like a bodybuilder necessarily, but it's like, this is strength for your everyday life, for picking up your kids, for picking up your groceries.
Yeah.
And so we took that, and in the course of like an afternoon, because we had all the different shots, we had the beats, and the idea we came up with was, so at this point, the piece is out. So you can go watch the piece at this point. We are still, as recording this,
I hope it turned out good.
I hope it turned out great. We were literally working on it like 10 minutes before we came in here. But we came up with this idea for using someone who ended up being one of their actual like clients, and having them struggling to pick up these groceries, and really like
much to the disappointments of their child, of their hungry child,
being judged heavily for that, going into Straight Shot, and that's the hero's journey, going to Straight Shot, becoming a proper like badass,
to be an everyday hero.
Thank you for that. And we wanted Johnny to the owner of Straight Shot to be kind of like this trainer sensei type character.
The aviator glasses were
that was one of the
early decision.
Very early, yeah. And that was something that had to happen, and I'm so glad it did.
Yeah.
And then finally, going back out and being able to pick up. And I remember we specifically said we didn't want the end. You see the groceries start to lift, but you don't get the full payoff because it's still a trailer.
It's a trailer. You gotta go pay to go see the full feature length version that we're going to be making at some point, right?
Someday, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we had all that written out on the whiteboard.
I think initially. It's still there too.
All my chicken scratch stuff. Your handwriting is way better than mine. Yeah. But that was we knew going into this that this was going to be a very ambitious production for us. Proper scripted content like this is always a bigger lift. We have the people, we have the crew to support it, which is awesome. We have the equipment to support it, but that only works if you put the time and effort into it ahead of time.
Right.
Planning out something like this and shooting it the way we shot the previous Straight Shot ad, where we were like, we have an idea, we have a script, but we're going to figure out the shots as we go, does not work for this.
It was also a case of just like I'd asked after we'd kind of come up with the broad idea together, I'd approached you about the possibility of me kind of like taking a bit more of a lead creatively in the making of this. Conferring with you within steps along the way.
Sure.
But really kind of like I can kind of, in terms of like really laying out specifics and directing on sets.
Yeah.
Really hands-on on the edits.
Oh, yeah.
And you were very, very open to the idea. Because we'd already kind of worked out.
Yeah.
Everything. It was all there on the whiteboard. It was just a matter of execution there.
And it was all like, I mean, it was very much a group thing. Even Mags on our team was there in the room with us, and they were like contributing to it too.
Yeah.
But like you were very much part of the ideation process. So it was very much your baby. Like it's all our baby, but you were very much in the delivery room for it. Very clearly you had an idea of how this could look. I had an idea too, but we were thinking pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, again, we were just kind of aligned there. And the first thing I wanted to do was storyboard the whole thing out, basically shot for shot. I like to do that for a lot of my personal projects that I'm directing.
And that's the first time I've ever actually, for one of my shoots, or a shoot that I'm like been a part of like the core production on, the first time I've ever used a storyboard.
Yeah, because I'm usually by the time I'm on set, I've played the movie, played what it is in my head.
Oh yeah, same. But I just never took the time to like document out everything that specifically.
Well,
And it was such a big help on set for a couple reasons. Because again, for you have that record of this is what I had in my head. So I assume it's a nice kind of like mental jog of like, oh yeah, this is what that shot should look like.
Well, actually, less so that for me. For me, it's really a way of working it out. Like for me, it's on like once I've drawn the storyboards, it's so internalized. Like I could go on set, I don't really need to look at them
Gotcha.
anymore. For me, it was sort of like by drawing it out, it gives me a sort of a baseline, foundational sort of thing where I know I've kind of thought of everything that I need basically to make it work.
Yeah.
Then I'll have them available for people on set. So to communicate that idea for people. But once I've done them, it's not really for me anymore. Once I've drawn the storyboards, I initially did little thumbnails in my notebook. At that point, before I really started like drawing out the storyboards, I took you aside one day and I basically just walked you through my shots, all the shots, kind of what I'm thinking of for them. Basically, kind of play acting it out, kind of out in the studio. You suggested some ideas and things like that. Once that was approved, then I actually went in and like drew more detailed storyboards that would give a greater sense of sort of composition that I'm kind of looking for each shot. Edit points in a sense, because you did the initial editing pass. I'd like somebody else to kind of just do the initial thing, just so that fresh perspective on the material can have a little room to play around with before I go in and muck it up with my opinions.
And then you can just focus on like the polish and tightening the screws. Yeah. Which I mean, that's in a traditional edit environment, that would be more of like an assistant editor's role to like do a string out kind of a thing. So it makes sense, especially to give you that distance from it.
And it really did help your initial.
I'm glad. Yeah, it worked out nicely. Oddly enough, I didn't use the storyboards very much for that first cut, simply because we had shot it so like clearly. Not necessarily shooting it in order, but it was like, it wasn't a case where it's like, oh, let's do this way and then let's try it this way.
I don't shoot cover. I'm not about coverage. Yeah. I'm like, these shots are for specific reasons to communicate a specific thing, which is important. But while that gives you a little less leeway in editing, it makes it so that you're sure that every moment is being used to communicate something.
Yes. The whole spot is 30 seconds.
Every shot, and particularly if it's cutting very quickly, every shot needs to communicate some sort of emotion, the emotion of that moment.
And it meant that because it was so structured ahead of time, it meant that we didn't have to worry about like, we didn't have to leave any of it up to chance. We knew it was going to look good because we already had that really plain in our head. So doing that first string out, it was very clear of just like, other than just picking different takes, and like messing with timing, storyboard wasn't really super critical at that stage. Where it was really helpful for me was actually, it was on set, but I actually was treating it almost more as a to-do list.
Right.
Because I had a shot list where just, every shot is just a line of text.
We very quickly diverged from the shot list as organized.
We did diverge from the shot list as organized.
For reasons involving
rain.
Just sort of the logistics of what we had to do with light. With light, we lost light pretty quickly, so we had to move some stuff around.
But it was cool for me because I'm a very visual person, and if I have initially just a shot list of like everything is typed out, that's very difficult for me to scan through and be like, what's next? What do we need next?
Over the shoulder close up on this with
to have a proper thumbnail of that where it's just like, oh yeah, that's where she's here and the bags are there and the camera's there. Got it. We've gotten that one. Cool. I'll just cross that one out on the storyboard. So it became more like a checklist or a to-do list for me, but it was so much more effective than just a typed out one for me, just the way that my brain works.
Yeah. I think we did get just about everything on that list. The only casualty being the jib shot of her screaming into the sky, which was a casualty of the rain, despite all the time we'd spent.
Because we did
setting it up. We were in the middle of setting it up when the sky just opened up
Which was the second time during that shoot. While we were shooting all the stuff in the parking lot, that was the second time that the rain came in, really opened up. We had wind like crazy. It actually blew over the umbrella that we had brought out at one point.
Thank goodness that Johnny had and this is something we should have planned for, and we should when we knew rain was going to be in the even if rain wasn't in the forecast. Bringing some kind of canopy or tent type deal we can move.
The thing, I've got a 10 by 10 easy up. So I should have just had that in the truck. And this last shoot, the last shoot that we went on for a completely separate project, I had that in the car. Never needed it, but it was in the car.
It's good to have it there.
Yeah. So that was definitely
Johnny brought that out, and we were able to get everything kind of under there. And we had to really rethink sort of the order that we
probably lost like a good hour, I would say, between those two times, hauling all the gear out of harm's way, out of water's way, and then pulling it back out and resetting. Like, we weren't really down for much because the rain didn't last long.
And frankly, sometimes that's good for me, particularly if it's a very kind of intense, compact shoot, because we shot for about 8 hours, I'd say. But for the number of shots we were getting, it's still cutting it really close. So any space I have to just be able to step back and reorient myself and think about where, okay, I'm just going to go and think about this specific things, so you're not necessarily doing everything kind of on the fly, and then once things kind of get back up, you can act with a quicker, and you can devote your brain power to more granular things, communicate things quickly. Because the thing is, the more tired I get, the more wordy I get when I'm directing, which is a problem.
I could see that.
I'll get very loquacious, I guess is the word. I'll start using big word when small word do best.
Yes.
And I was getting to that point towards the end of night. A few hours before we hit that point, I'd approached you. I remember saying, it's like, once we get like, because the way we'd set it out is like we had the planned shots, and then there was going to be a sequence there where we kind of went a little more improv with some of with like a training montage, and then we'd pick and choose what we liked from there for that, and what space we had left in the 30 seconds.
Right.
30 seconds there, and I told you, is like, once we're done everything that I've kind of planned out, you become primary creative director, and I'll kind of like offer up, and you take the lead for that last stretch there, because I'm so burnt out. And you did, and it's some of the best shots in the whole thing.
I don't know about that, but I appreciate
that low angle up on her.
The low angle up is pretty fun, I will say. And it matches both of our shooting styles, because like something I've noticed is you are very much a more of a like classical filmmaker. I've never put the term filmmaker on myself.
Sure.
And part of that is because of the kind of stuff that I did when I was learning all this, the stuff that I was trained on. I was trained not in the motion pictures and television department, but the multimedia communications department, which is just a fancy way of saying short form, digital, and very journalism heavy. It's not a journalism program, but it was taught through that lens. So a lot of it for me is I show up on site or to a set or whatever, and I'm figuring out all the shots and angles like in the moment, because it's more docu-style. And like, see, that's the thing. And that's why when you did the storyboard, I was like, oh, I never did a storyboard. Like,
well, for me, the storyboard is like, I feel like I can't improvise until I have that foundation. Like, the storyboards are not gospel for me. We usually I stick pretty close to them. But for me, it's like, all right, I have a baseline, so I don't have to think of something for it to work at all. Because we did have to adjust some of the shots.
Reality happens.
Just for what we have, the reality of where we are. I mean, we can't really choose the light or what we've got in the background, and we got to kind of maybe move the camera somewhere else so that we don't have something else in there.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a compromise and it doesn't look as good as I imagined it. Sometimes it's better than I imagined it, but it's just the reality of your plans. That's a cardinal law of filmmaking is plan, but no plan survives totally once you're on set. You just have to be ready to throw out what you need to and make decisions on the fly.
No plan survives contact with the enemy. Yeah. That was a phrase I heard a while ago, and I think it very much applies to production.
Yeah,
Something I wanted to end with is talking about this project, the straight shot everyday hero piece, from the context of again, Johnny came to us with kind of the nugget of this idea, which at its core is a really, I'm not going to say silly, but it's a very fun idea of like, what if our ad looked like an action movie trailer?
Yeah.
And that's not something that I think it helps that, like, this is the fourth piece we've done with them.
Mm-hmm.
And like the first piece we did with them was more of the classical like marketing piece of like, here's an interview with the founder and the co-owner. Here's footage of people training. This is what we do. Very informational. And it was, it was a good piece. Mm-hmm. But you compare that to every time we've done a new project with them, we've gone a little bit further and down that creative rabbit hole with it until now we're doing like, it's like a whole like fictional story we're creating here.
Right.
And that's something that for me has been really cool to see, because I've always felt that on the advertising side, you think about, maybe not in the last couple of years, but old school Super Bowl commercials to me are like some of the gold standard of advertising.
And even just from a filmmaking standpoint, it's like it's about communicating an emotion and telling a story in an incredibly compact amount of time.
Yes.
Which takes an incredible amount of skill to accomplish well.
Oh, yeah. But they're not just saying like, we're Volkswagen and this is our new car. It has this much gas mileage. Come buy one.
It's not about information. It is about a visceral connection with the audience. And I think the ads that people remember, they don't remember like what the gas mileage is or anything like that. They remember, the funny thing that happened in there, because associating it with the brand.
Yeah, and the reason I bring up Volkswagen is because an ad that has stuck with me for a very long time was a Volkswagen ad. They had a car that looked kind of like Darth Vader from the front, and they had a little kid dressed as Darth Vader who was like holding a lightsaber and like using the Force to make the car brake, and that was the ad. And it was just so cute and fun, and like that, I don't know how many years old that ad is, but it stuck with me. And like all the other things of, think about more recently, Jason Momoa like taking off like all these prosthetics that are making him look buff in his ad. But the Super Bowl commercials are one of the few that people will actually seek out after the fact, even if they don't watch them live during the game. And it's because they are little mini stories.
Which is why the ones this past year were so terrible.
I know. I don't
terrible
understand
year for Super Bowl ads. They're all for crypto, gambling, or they're made with generative AI, which is a conversation we'll not get into here.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
It's a whole other thing. But I think, speaking to your point about Johnny, I think it's precisely because this is the fourth thing that we've kind of done with him that there's that. It's. I think the impetus for projects like the thing that spurs these kind of projects are two things. It's trust, because it's clear Johnny likes what you did and wants to push it, and so it's very much on the client side. Of like, okay, I see where this is going. I want to go further. I don't want just the same thing that I've got.
Yes,
I want to push this further,
which is exactly what I, as a creative, but also as a business person, what I want to see, because I know they're going to get more out of it if they just lean into it more.
Yeah, and the second thing I think is a desire to stand out, because our world nowadays, you can't go 2 feet without getting assaulted with an ad for something, and I feel like I think there is a desire for, I think, okay, how can we stand out amongst the crowd of the millions of other things pining for attention from an audience? And I think smaller businesses where maybe an advertisement is a pretty big line item for them in their budgets. Yeah. They sometimes don't necessarily want to spend money on there can be two impulses. And one, they're spending this money, so they don't want to like gamble it. They want to like get a good utilitarian ad where they don't have to do another one where it's everything that they kind of need, and it's very kind of, it gets the info out and it's very clear. Yeah. And I think, and another attitude would be, okay, we're spending all this money. We got to do something that has some kind of actual impact and is going to stand out, because we're spending all this money and putting all this effort into building this ad. And I feel personally, I'm a bit biased because I like, things being weird and crazy. Sure. That the second one is the way to go, because I think just from where we are now with this ad, in terms of, localized, it'll really stand out.
Oh,
think.
100%.
Yeah.
And I also like credit to Johnny at Straight Shot because not only does he came up with the root of the idea, he invested in it, let us have like our way with it and really like take it to the next level. But then also, I mean, even right now, we're still working on the ad. He's promoting the ad like it's an event. Like he's put out a movie poster for it. He's putting out he
hasn't even seen a cut of it yet, by the way.
Yeah,
he's going by this base. It's solely on faith that we're going to turn out something he'll like.
Yeah, he's seen like previews and little snippets and frames and some of the behind the scenes photography that we have been putting on our socials and he's been putting on theirs.
Yeah.
Credit to Mags on our team because there are some epic shots in there of Johnny.
As if Johnny could look any cooler. Mags found a way to do it.
Hey, and the Aviators, we helped.
Yeah. We were shopping for that. Like I remember like going over your shoulder. We were kind of just scrolling through online. Like it's like those good news. No, they're a little too. Like we were very detailed. It's like the Aviators were a very important thing to get right with this.
And you know where I found the perfect set of Aviators?
Where did you find them, Cameron?
7-Eleven.
Sometimes it's just the simplest solutions are the correct ones.
Sometimes.
Put that in your fortune cookie and eat it
and smoke it. Okay, so I think that all that to say, we had a lot of fun with this. And if you have not seen the Straight Shot Everyday Hero ad, go to Warehouse Cinemas if you're local to Frederick and you can see it on the big screen. Otherwise, it is, by this point, I'm sure, plastered all over our socials, Straight Shot socials. We'll have it on our website. It'll be integrated into our reels and all that good stuff. That ad, to me, marks a really big step forward for us in terms of our capabilities and kind of showing off like, hey, this is what we think a flagship ad could look like. And it's not for a, multinational corporation. Like, this is for a local small business.
There is so much talent in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area that we know personally, and it's just it's just looking for. It's just there's talent there. You just gotta use it to make great stuff.
Yeah. I'm very excited to do more stuff like this. I'm very grateful to Johnny for trusting us with this. I'm grateful to everyone on the team, yourself obviously included, for executing on this as well as we have, because I really am very proud of it. And I think this is our new flagship piece. This is when someone asks what do you do, I'm very happy to point to this and this only and say this represents the pinnacle of what we can do. So
that warms the long dead cockles of my heart.
Aww.
Also credit to everybody else who worked on it. Barry for doing such heavy lifting on the
literally
on the
and figuratively.
Literally and figuratively. Alex, Cammie, Mags, all of them on set helping out whenever they could. All the people at Straight Shots, the staff, Johnny, Emily, who was our who was our lead actress there.
Man.
I did not met her, and this made me a little nervous there because Johnny was very kind of Johnny picked her out to be the person there. So me directing okay, I have not met this person. I've maybe seen a picture of them. I don't know, but then she gets on set and we do the first shot. And it's a very facial because you want very clear facial expressions because again, 30 seconds, you got to communicate that emotion. She did,
and she has no lines.
She had no lines at all in there, and she did really great. And little Milena,
oh my gosh,
our child who was 4 shots. She was just
stole the show, and was actually the reason. So initially, we had in our script and storyboard, we had it where there was another line where she was going to say something like, "Mommy, are you okay?"
Yeah.
Like they were concerned that she was having so much trouble, and it was Milena on set who said, "What if I'm just really disappointed and shaking my head?" And that, man, we were on set and in the edit room. We were both just on the floor laughing at just this look of just judgment, pure judgment on her face, and was. Yeah, that was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it was a big team effort, and we were only half hour over our
only
projected
half hour. Considering we lost an hour to the rain.
Yeah,
and we only cut 1 shot for time.
Yeah,
I think we were pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. This is we're going to try and do more of these with a whole bunch of people from the team rotating through because we do some pretty cool stuff here, and we have a lot of fun, and I think it's worth putting that out into the world for you guys. So hit subscribe wherever you're watching this or listening to this, and more will be coming very soon at a later date. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Cameron.
Let's get back into the edit room, shall we?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.